readings tonight, know that they are being streamed live on both TikTok and YouTube. And I do want to say this because I had someone the other day say something about they didn't pay for them to be on YouTube. That's okay. That's okay. Because ever since I have been reading here on TikTok, um, for shit, almost 4 years at this point, I have always put everything on YouTube. And here's why. I know that you guys get busy. I know that kids sometimes have meltdowns right in the middle of while you're watching a movie or something on social media. I know that emergencies happen. I know that life happens. I know that sometimes you fall asleep while you're waiting. That way you get your read, period. That way you don't have to sit on a live for 4 hours. Just saying what I'm saying. The other thing is this. I've had way too many people that have purchased reads that then come back after I have done the read for them, because this takes time and energy, and this is my skill you're paying for. I've been doing this a long time. So I have people that will come back and they will say, oh, she never did that for me. Bullshit. I got it on YouTube, and you've had the link, and the work was done. So yeah, it covers my ass, it covers your ass. So there you go. It is a pain in the ass to make sure that I am doing it on both of them, but it is what it is. Miss Cher, I left it downstairs. I meant to bring it up here to show you. Oh my gosh. Cher sent me a dragon egg with an iridescent rainbow dragon inside. And it is the coolest fucking thing. And now I feel like a dick because it's sitting downstairs in my office. I got so overwhelmed. I got so overwhelmed today with all of the boxes and everything that I left it in my office. But I did get it today, and it is really, really cool. Thank you so much. Like, it's really cool. It will absolutely be going in my office, probably right behind where I sit. So yeah. I just wanted you to know that I got it. And I also want to say happy birthday to someone very special. Xander is 18 today. Happy birthday, Xander. I know that you're having a fantastic one. And I know that your mom, Kristen, is also, she's missing you. I'm just saying what I'm saying. Okay? Guys, this is where I say before I start reading that please talk to somebody. Please talk to somebody. If you are having a hard time, there are so many people that are there for you. There are so many people that are there for you, okay? If you ever need anything, there are so many people that are there for you. You can call, you can text 411. There are so many people that are there for you. This is why I'm live every single day, so you guys know that you are never alone, that you always have somebody, okay? Okay? This space is a safe space. When I'm here on TikTok, when I'm live, just come in and hang out. I don't require you to do shit. You can just come and sit and just be here. Okay? Okay? I only got one share. I only got one. It was like, it was in a gold and gray egg. It was really cool. It's like gold one way and gray the other. And it's this cool iridescent rainbow dragon. I feel so bad that it's in my office. I will show you guys tomorrow. I will make sure I have it up here tomorrow. So, Miss Beth, are you ready? Yes? So Miss Beth, what's interesting is you just went through something really intense that was from a past life. You're in a downward swing right now, where you kind of went like this. Now you're in a downward swing, if that makes sense. So here's what's funny. The one that's affecting you right now is actually a really, really good life. Why it's affecting you right now, or it's about to be affecting you. Let me say it that way. It's about to be affecting you because you just went through this really, really rough fucking time, and now it's time to pick up the pieces of that and move forward. So the one that's about to start affecting you is one where you literally had everything. I'm gonna sneeze. Where you literally had everything. So it was like a vacation life. Hold on a minute here, TikTok. Hold on. I don't know why my phone's not charging. I guess I'm gonna have to get a new cord. I've had these cords for about a year. You would think they would last a lot longer. So I'm kind of getting a little irritated that they're fucking up. But anyway, Miss Beth. The one that's about to be affecting you, I'm going to kind of go over what I was just saying. The one that's about to be affecting you the most is what I would call a vacation life where everything was handed to you. And it's affecting you in an interesting way. It's affecting you in that it's starting to pop up, in that you feel like you should have a bigger house, you should have more money, you should have better cars, you should have all of these things, and some of the things that you are wanting make no sense. They don't have a rhyme or reason. They're not things you've ever wanted before, etc. And it's because of this particular past life that we're talking about. I'm trying to kind of see where this was, because this is like, thank you for that. This is, I'm going to say probably around the very early 1200s, when you were born. But I'm trying to see exactly where in Europe this is, because all I can see is what would be called like a chateau. So in this life, you are the only daughter, the second to oldest child. And aside from being doted on, you literally are the favorite child. You are the favorite child. It's one of those things where even though you were the favorite child and even though you were doted on, you weren't a dick. And you really did do as much as you could, especially as you got older, to help the people that were around you. This was absolutely an amazing life, and we're going to talk about again why it's affecting you. But it was an amazing life in that you had every single thing you could ever wish for. The man that you married would be considered like a lord, like a baron, etc. And he actually loved you very deeply, and you loved him right back. There are five kids. And you live to be a pretty decent age, even knowing your oldest grandkids before you had a heart attack in your sleep. I mean, it's literally like the best, most easiest life you could ask for. With this as well, you did everything in your power to help people around you. And it made you extremely loved throughout that whole area. Okay, so the only thing that I can really see really clearly is the place that you lived after you got married, and I'm going to describe it to you, because I can't see exactly where it is in Europe that you were. I'm going to say probably on the edge of France, Germany, and France, but it just feels like it's in the very center. With this, there is this massive blonde stone. I'm going to say house, but it's humongous. It's not castle humongous, but it is humongous. And the front I can't see, but the back is where your favorite area was. So there's this massive, big, huge cobblestone area with a garden and topiaries and almost a hedge maze, but not quite. Like the hedges only come up to about your waist. But there are so many flowers and flowering trees and fruit trees and just things like that, and flowers everywhere. And this is literally where you spent the vast majority of your time. It's where you spent the most of your time with your kids, like everybody. And the edge of the garden, like it steps down. So there's like the cobblestone area, because it's not flat. Like it's really nice and very well put together, but it's also not flat. Like there are cobblestones here and there, but there's a railing, and it has these weird, it's almost like a concrete or stone banister, but the bottom stones are almost rounded, almost like bowling balls. It's crazy. And the reason that I felt like I needed to describe it is because I feel like either that place has been described, or that place, part of it is still standing. So the house itself comes out like this, and then there's a part that comes out like this, and the stable's over here. So like if you're facing the back of the house, there's the big long house right here. It's just one story. The long house right here, a part of it comes out this way, and stables out here to the left. It also sits decently up on a hill, because from the front you can see down and over. Yeah, this is absolutely like someone that owned a massive amount of land. The reason that this life, and I kind of breezed through it a little bit except for that part, the reason that this life is affecting you the most right now, or about to be affecting you the most, let me say that, it's about to be affecting you the most, is because you just went through this massive shift. Not only did you just go through this massive shift, but all of the things that are coming, A, out of this shift, and B, from this past life coming in, is the want to be better and so much more than you ever have been before. And I'm not saying anything or any place you have been was bad, but this is like a weird yearning, a weird want for things you've never wanted before. The other thing is this. It's going to cause a drive in you that is going to run some people off out of your life. They are not going to like the fact that suddenly you are super driven. You are not doing all of these little things that you used to do before, that now you consider them a waste of time. It is a whole new drive, a whole new shift, a whole new purpose. And girl, it's about to get absolutely mind-blowing, the things you can accomplish. So here's what I'm going to say, because when this energy really starts to come in, it's already here, but when it really starts to come in, what's going to happen is that you're going to overwhelm yourself really quickly, because it's a completely foreign feeling, if that makes sense. Keep your compass pointed to exactly what you want. Thank you, Morgan. Don't lose sight of the goals. Don't lose sight of what it is that you want. Don't lose sight of why you're heading where you're heading. Because as I'm drawing these cards, I'm mainly doing it just to kind of help me channel a little bit. But one of the first cards that keeps coming out is that Abaddon card. And the Abaddon card in this deck is pestilence and short-sightedness and narcissism. If you aren't careful, you will draw those people to you that want to use this amazing energy that you have. They want to use this trajectory that you're on. So if you lose sight of these goals or where you're going at all, even just a little stumble, some of those people are going to swoop in and they're going to pull you right back down, okay? Because in this past life, you were always very protected. You didn't have people like this in your life. You had people that watched over your family. You had people that watched over you. Like, you never ever had to worry about being in danger. You lived in a very peaceful time. Like, it was just fantastic. So be very, very careful that you don't lose sight of these goals, okay? Because these people will absolutely come out of the woodwork, okay? I kind of see now, it's really funny. I'm always interested of why it is that I don't get to do some people's reads whenever I'm supposed to do them. And then when I see why, if I had pulled this same past life, but 2 weeks ago or a week ago, whatever it was, when I was supposed to do this for you, it wouldn't have made the same sense. And it wouldn't have made the same sense because even though this past life is what's coming in to affect you right now, then you were still going through some bullshit. So you would have been like, well, that doesn't make any sense. That's really stupid. So I understand why I'm doing your read tonight instead of then. Does that make sense? Thank you for all the roses, Miss Stephanie. Brandon Benbrook, you are next. Thank you, Miss Barbara. I try. Brandon, are you here by chance? Because I have a very weird question for you. I'm just curious if you were fascinated with Joan of Arc when you were younger. Thank you, Miss Kathy. Because there seems to be a theme through a lot of different lives that you have where you are born a female, but you are put in a position of having to overcome something and having to be somebody completely different. And not only having to be someone completely different, but it's almost like this is something karmically that you're having to deal with and come to terms with. Because in the life that's affecting you the most right now, this one's actually been affecting you for a little while. This one's actually been affecting you for a little while. And it's the reason that you have this sense of loss. It's a reason that you have this sense of sadness, this sense of powerlessness. It's a reason that you are drawn to very strong personalities, that you are drawn to very strong-willed people. And it's because, oh God. It's because in this life in particular that I'm talking about, this was back during the Crusades, okay? Right during the first wave of the Crusades. And being born in a society where women weren't really revered very much is already hard enough. You were born in an absolutely gorgeous coastal town in what is, I would say, the southern edge of Turkey now. And you had just a normal life, like literally normal life, okay? When I say normal, this is like kind of a peasant type of life. Kind of a small family. There's only like 3 kids and your parents. There's a lot of animals involved. There's a lot of, you milked a lot of animals, goats, etc. You were like the one that you were the animal whisperer, basically. Your dad would joke that you were the only one that could calm the animals down when they got upset or whatever. So that was your job. And you are the baby of the family. Let's just say that this life was cut very short, only about 8 or 9. And it was not a very good ending. And it was your family getting caught in the middle of a bunch of fighting that started to pop up just like this all around your land, your house, and got swept up in it, and you lost everyone in your family. Not only did you lose everyone in your family, you watched a couple of them before it was your turn. And having that feeling of absolute powerlessness. And the only reason that you were able to see those things is that when this started, you were out with the animals and hid. And if you had just stayed hidden, you would have been fine. But watching your mother go through things and watching your father go through things, it pulled you out of your hiding place. So it was a very powerless point. It was a very sad point, and it was something that has affected your soul on a very, very deep level. It is something that makes you really afraid of loss. It makes you really, and I mean like as a panic, it makes you as a panicky afraid of loss. It also makes you cling on to things, situations, people in such a hardcore way that sometimes you don't even understand, because these people don't deserve it and you know it, but you still cling on to it. It's because this loss is something that you still haven't gotten over, and it pops up a lot. The reason that it's popping up a lot in the meat sack life that you're in right now is that it's almost as if there is a change in the life you're in now, the meat sack you're in now, that can help you karmically get past some of that pain. This meat sack life that you're in now as Brandon is kind of like your therapy life. Does that make sense? This is you going to therapy to overcome that feeling of helplessness, that feeling of loss. It doesn't mean it's any easier, because therapy isn't easy, but I am curious. Do you have a birthmark on your chest? Or something wrong, especially on the left side with your left lung? I have my eyes sticking together. I'm just curious. But this past life in particular, Brandon, is going to affect you a lot in the meat sack that you're in. I would say probably until you're in your late 50s. This whole thing, your whole left side is off. Scoliosis has me completely odd. What's up with right here? Like it's because I have to be careful of what I say on the TikTok. This is the demise point. Does that make sense? We'll just say it that way. That's why. That's why. I would also bet that you still kind of have nightmares of these type of scenarios of being helpless and being stuck and watching the people that you care about. Yeah. Yeah. So that's why this particular life is affecting you so bad right now. That's why it's affecting you so bad. And I know that you popped in while I was doing that. So I'm curious, after you go back and listen to all of it, what you think about it. I'm just saying what I'm saying. All right. Miss Chelsea Smart. For those of you guys that are just joining, I'm catching up on some reads from 329 that I didn't get to finish. And if you would like to book your spot, you can do so by clicking on my profile link. If there are any spots left, these usually fill up really, really, really quickly. Well, thank you, Green Witch. I appreciate that. I will do them again. I don't know if I have them scheduled for next week or not, but yeah. Yeah. It's so funny. The only thing I see in this currently is this blue, I don't know if it's satin or silk, but this material, this blue material, it almost looks like the inside of a tent in a way, like the flap of it. Okay. So what I'm looking at is from the view of probably a 5-year-old kid, 4 or 5-year-old kid, walking out, like waking up, seeing that the sun is up, and stumbling outside the tent. Dude, this is a long time ago. This is what is ancient Mongolia. And I do not know the terminology for some of the stuff I'm seeing, so I'm going to just describe it as best I can. So in this life, it's so weird. I've had allergies today, and so I've had to fuck with my my lashes and stuff a little bit, and now every time I blink, I can feel like that sticking together. All right, first world problems, right? So Miss Chelsea, in this life that I'm talking about now, it was a very long time ago. I mean, like 900. You were born, you're the oldest son to a very nomadic family. There's like 7 or 8, possibly a couple more families that all travel together. And your dad has this special, I'm gonna call it a lance. I'm sure that it's not called that, but that's the only thing I could think of, and I keep seeing it, so apparently it's important. I'm gonna describe it. So he has this lance, and it has this amazing point on the end of it, and it comes out like this and in and then down but it has like this cool swish to it right there, and then back up, and it actually has 2 holes in it, big teardrop shaped holes. Like I feel like I could draw it out. It's very unique. It also, so it's flat like this, but if you're looking at it flat, there's also 2 points that come out like that. So once it's stuck in, it's twisted. And this is specifically for hunting, but it's also used, you know, for other things as well. But it's specifically for hunting. So I see why you're drawn to helping people. I see why you're drawn to. So in this life that I'm talking about in particular, I really don't believe, I don't see you as an adult. Let me say that. I don't think that you really lived much past what I'm seeing. I have a feeling that this morning view of you getting up and stumbling outside the tent, is the last memory in this life. And there's not a lot that you do remember about it because you were so young here. But I don't feel like this was anything like violent. This wasn't anything bad. It was just like, just gone. Just like dropped to the ground. I have a feeling that this is like a heart condition, a defect, something like that. Which of course no one knew about, had a way to deal with or anything then. And I'm going to say this because I can see what happens after a little bit, and we're going to talk about that. I will say I'm going to specifically go through this very last memory because I keep seeing it over and over and over. And that usually, when that happens, it means I'm either not describing something right or whatever. And this is you waking up, seeing the sun kind of along the seam of the tent flaps, and kind of crawling to the door. You don't want to wake anybody else up, so you're being super, super quiet. You go outside, you crawl underneath the flap, basically, so the light doesn't wake anybody else up, like you're a sneaky little kid. The light doesn't wake anybody else up, and you go outside, and then you stand up. Where you guys have set up is this beautiful open area. There are trees and stuff in the distance, but the sun is coming up over these mountains that are way in the distance. And it's just absolutely beautiful. And so as the sun's coming up, you just stand there and kind of watch it. And so say the mountains are here. There's 2 of them that come like this. So the mountains are here and the sun comes up. And as soon as it is completely above that little valley, you just aren't. You just aren't. You just aren't. And so your mom is the first one to come outside and see you. And this absolutely devastates her. There is, I don't know if she's an older sister or an aunt that's much younger than your mom. There's a teenage girl that is extremely upset by this as well. And this, I have a feeling that if, I can't tell if this is an aunt or an older sister, but you are the only child. And so because this was so devastating, like it throws your mom into a silence. She doesn't ever speak anymore after this. And it ends up kind of tearing your family apart in a way because your mom doesn't speak to anyone, doesn't speak to your father, doesn't, she believes that something he did caused this. Not that he had a direct action in it, but he offended a spirit. He offended something. He offended something in another realm, and that's why you were taken. And so she wholeheartedly believes this. I don't know why I'm going to say it this way, but I'm going to say it this way. He loses her. Like she literally, I don't know if she walks off into the night. I don't know if something happens. I don't know, but she she just is gone. And he ends up taking 2 other wives, and neither one of them have children. So like the family line kind of ends right there. There are no children, no daughters, no sons, no matter what he tries. So maybe he did offend something, but no one knows what happened to your mom. No one knows what happened to her. So the reason that this life is affecting you so deeply right now is I keep seeing the sun coming up over those, I love that, soul. I keep seeing the, I keep seeing the mountains and the sun rising through the valley. And I have a feeling that you've either been dreaming of it, that you've seen it throughout your entire life or something. But this life in particular, it affects you because it's, even though it was a very fulfilling life, even though in only, 4.5, 5 years, you accomplished a lot, you saw a lot, and you were treated very well, it's still a feeling of loss. And it's not even so much for for that particular, that particular life, that particular meat sack. It is a feeling of loss of your mom. You still are, because no one knows what happened to her. Your soul still feels that loss. Does that make sense? So Miss Chelsea, this is why you're really, really drawn to helping other people. It's why you're really drawn to, especially helping older women. You know what I mean? Moms, grandmas, etc. But I'm going to say this too. It's also why you see things differently than other people. It's why you see things differently in this meat sack you're in now. It's why you see things in ways that other people don't. And so you have a hard time wrapping your brain around certain concepts because they don't make sense to you. Because when you're thinking about things, when you're, because when you are worried about others, when you are, when you're taking care of them, that's when you are the closest to that feeling, if that makes sense. That's why you're trying to help everyone that you can, all of the older ladies that you can. I hope that makes sense, Miss Chelsea. I had to go ahead and block that person because that was just irritating. Don't come in and be weird, man. You can be weird some other time, but right now you can't be weird. No being weird. All right, Miss Courtney E, you are next. And I am going to fix my chair here because, there we go. These chairs are good to sit in, and so I'm leaning back. I want to lean back, but I'm leaning forward and it's hurting my back. All right, Miss Courtney, you ready? Are you here, Courtney? Because inquiring Bodies have questions. Because when I started to tune into this life that's affecting you the most right now, the first fucking thing I see is a goddamn alligator. Why the fuck am I seeing an alligator? Why am I seeing an alligator, Courtney? I mean, I'll tell you why, but that's the first fucking thing I started to see with a fucking alligator. At first, I was like, oh, please tell me this does not involve somebody getting eaten by an alligator. It doesn't. It doesn't. I would say this has to do with the story of Peter Pan. Because I'm seeing all of that over and over. have a feeling that this is the life directly before the one you're in now. Or possibly, no, nope, it's the one before this. Because let me say this. The life before this one was just a blip. Just a blip. What is up with, why is it all the ones y'all I didn't finish having, what? Okay. The reason I say it's just a blip, Miss Courtney, is because this is, but I don't even think you lived to be 4 months old. And there wasn't anything, no sickness, no nothing. It was just like SIDS, okay? But this is back in, I'm going to say literally downtown London, because, and the reason I say that, you're in a very, very nice house, very nice crib. Like, everything is really nice. And you have someone reading Peter Pan to you repeatedly. I don't know if this is to calm you down, if it's, because this is not your mom either. This is like a nanny. But something in her voice when she's reading this story to you is calming you down. So I'm wondering if you didn't have colic, if you didn't have like, I can't, one of the fevers, I can't words it, the one that starts with R, that one keeps popping up. So I'm wondering if that didn't have to do with with you not being alive very long. But you were literally read that over and over, especially the part where Captain Hook fights the alligator. There's no TV, so I'm thinking that this was probably back closer to the turn of the century. And it's funny, I can see her pretty plainly. She's a bigger lady. She has a very broad shoulders, wide chest. She also has really dark hair. And at first I thought it was cut short, but it's not. It's pulled into an interesting bun. Like, it comes down here and poofs out slightly and then is pulled back here. And she has a little thing on her head. I thought that it was a little cap, but it's not. It's just kind of to keep her hair out of her eyes. But her hair is really, really dark. She is about as pale as you can get, but her hair is super, super dark, like almost black. It's so dark brown. But like, I can't even see your mother or your parents. So in fact, I don't even know if your mother is around, because this woman is the only one that deals with you. So it makes me wonder if maybe something didn't happen to your mother in childbirth. There's, like, your father does not visit you. There are no siblings. There's just this nanny. That's it. So I'd really be curious, Courtney, to know if you like Peter Pan, because this is the one book that she read to you over and over. I think it's because she liked the story. And yeah. I'm trying to see why this is affecting you now. And to be honest, I can't come up with a reason. So what I'm going to say is, I am sure that as you're listening to this, there were some things that resonated with you and why it's affecting you right now. But it's a heaviness, but it's not sad. So for those of you guys that that are new to watching me, that have never listened to me or whatever before, it's Courtney, that's really like all I can see. I'm trying to see a little more, but that's like all I can see. I have a weird perspective on this. I have an interesting perspective on this because whenever I was 19, I had bacterial meningitis, and I actually died twice, once in the ER and once in ICU, and I was in a medically induced coma for 2 weeks. And I remember every bit of everything that I saw very extremely vividly. I don't remember people talking to me. I don't remember people sitting by my bedside. I don't remember any of that. I remember everything I saw and experienced, though. And one of those things that I understood from the experience is that there is a big circle, a wheel, steps that you have to go through. And in every single lifetime, a soul has to, there are lessons that every single soul has to accomplish. So if you, the easiest way to liken it to is like going to school, okay? So, pre-K through 12th grade, you have certain things you have to accomplish in all of that time to be able to graduate. And if you accomplish all of those things early, that's awesome. And if you don't, you get to repeat some grades. But every single soul has lives where they don't live very long. Every single soul has lives where they live, it seems like, forever. Every single soul has vacation lives, is what I call them, where everything is handed to you on a silver platter, a vacation life, right? And then you have lives that are so extremely hard and downtrodden, and you have to experience all of those things, the good and the bad, because this is like a training ground. Does that make sense? So when people have past lives that pull up that are affecting them where they weren't here very long, sometimes it's hard to find the meaning of why that is affecting you the most right now. But I try to make sure to pull out what it is I keep seeing over and over, such as Peter Pan, the fight with Captain Hook and the crocodile, and then this crib. Like, I can even describe the whole nursery. Like, it's this deep, dark, blue-gray color with golden accents on the wall. I would say probably like a wallpaper. I mean, this is a very, very expensive nursery. It is something like you would see in a movie. It's like something you would see in a movie. The crib has the big, beautiful canopy over it. Like, it's something you would literally see in a movie. So yeah, just saying what I'm saying. All right, Miss Christina Rollins, you are next. What in the hell is that? It's going to take me a bit to get used to the sounds down here. I assume that was a motorcycle. That was a weird sounding motorcycle. I almost went to the window to look because I was like, what in the fuck is that? All right. You really need to know something. So you have something really interesting that's affecting you right now, don't you? You've been dreaming some weird shit and you want to know what the fuck's going on. Like, this isn't a panic mode. It's a why am I dreaming this mode? Why is this coming up? Okay. I'll do my best to answer. There's a lot of destruction. There's a lot of fire. There's a lot of things falling down. Literally, physically, buildings falling down. Oh, you lived through something fucking horrible. Okay. So what I'm seeing right off the bat is this. This is you're a young man, very skinny, I have a feeling a little malnourished, probably someone that was not able to get a lot of food that you really needed. Tall, skinny, very lanky, shaggy brown hair. And you are in like night clothes, like just a long flowing like nightgown. I'm trying to see when this is, because what I'm seeing is you running down a street. So there are cobblestones underneath your feet, actually kind of rounded. So this is an older city. And all of the buildings around you are on fire. And some are toppling. Like this is an intense fire that swept through the city. And this has to be somewhere that is either like all the houses are they're buildings, you know what I mean? There's like you would see in like Italy or old London or whatever. I'm trying to describe, but all I can see above me is the roofs on fire, and I'm like running, and I keep looking back, and I'm just trying to get out, and people are panicking everywhere, and I'm trying not to get caught up in other people's panic. And up ahead of me, there is, at the end of the street, I'm running like down the hill like this, but at the end of the street, there is this massive cathedral, and there's a huge round, I don't know what it is, if it's stained glass or if it's just the beautiful art. I don't know what it is, but there's this huge round thing. And as I'm running, as I hit the bottom of the hill and I start to run toward it, that collapses. And it kind of, like, I actually can feel it in my throat. It actually kind of stops you in your tracks for a minute. This is what you've been dreaming of, isn't it? This is what you've been dreaming of. Because, like, I'm frozen right here, and I'm looking back and forth, and I'm just looking, trying to figure out where the fuck I'm going to run. And now I don't hardly see any people. I would say you're probably 17, 18, 19. And you're like literally stuck. You're literally stuck. You keep looking over here, looking over there, like you don't know where you're going to run to. This is the part that's playing over and over and over. Like, I can't see how you were born. I can't see your life up till then. Like, it's just this time, this few minutes of time right here. You've been searching a lot, have a lot of searching dreams, trying to find your way. It's so funny because I keep in my head as I'm standing here, because I'm turned around and I'm looking back up the hill, and I can't go back that way. There is so much smoke, and I can't go that way because that is literally fire. And so it's like in my head, I keep hearing go to the right, but then I'm like, which right? Like, do I turn back around and it's that right, or is it the right I'm standing now? And it's like indecision. It's freezing. So like freezing up. This is affecting you right now because you are caught in this crossroads. You are caught where this life was caught. I kind of have a feeling you don't make it out, because I don't see anything beyond standing in the middle of this street. Like, there's nothing else. It affects you a lot. It affects you in the sense that you feel stuck, and you feel like there is no right move, and you feel like whatever way you do move is not going to work out. So here's what I'm going to say. I can't tell if this is London or not, to be honest. I can't. I'm going to describe it again and see if maybe it will help you, Christina, figure this out. But I'm kind of coming down a hill. It's not a very steep hill. It's just a gentle hill. There are the row houses, etc. Like I'm starting to panic. Like I'm just breathing and I'm starting to panic because it's like I know that there isn't a way out, and so I'm starting to panic. So anyway, that's why I'm trying to take some deep breaths because this is complete panic. But as I'm running down the hill, there's a cathedral at the end of the street down there. And it's like down the street at the bottom of the hill is a road that goes, this way, like that, across road. But it is completely blocked. I don't know if buildings have fallen down or what, but it's completely blocked. Like I can't turn either way. And then in front of the cathedral, there is a square, and there is roads that go that way. But the cathedral, there is one big main tower. It's not like a really, the Notre Dame, it's just one big tower. But there's a big round window. It's a window, and I have a feeling it's stained glass. But it's these big, beautiful arches, like petals. And that, as I get to the bottom of the hill, that collapses. I kind of have a feeling that up to this point, it was a very, very hard life, in that it was and always was working from before the sun came up to after the sun went down, just working. Because unfortunately with this life too, like there's no hope of ever not working. There's no hope of ever being rich. There's no hope of ever having enough food. It's like a very hopeless existence in a way, and just going through the motions of, okay, well, I have to work. It does have to do with ships as well. Let me say that. So I don't know if this is loading ships up or what. There's no sailing involved with this life. There's no movement. It's just a lot of labor. Thank you, Miss Rebecca. It's a lot of labor. Okay. And it is a very, very hard life. A very hard life. So I would say that this one has affected you very, very deeply, especially in the life you're in now, because there's someone in your path, and maybe it's you, I don't know, but there's someone in your path that looks like this young man. Or there's been several. I think there's probably been several, and you don't know why you recognize the look, but you do. But this is just where somebody that's very tall, very skinny, very lanky, the knob-kneed, with hair about this long, kind of a mousy brown color, just kind of shaggy, almost like a cartoon character, I swear. But I think that this view of this person has popped up repeatedly, and it keeps kind of throwing you back into it. Here's what I'm going to recommend. Just because I've read for you a little bit, I've met you, I know you, here's what I'm going to recommend, and it's going to be a little unorthodox, okay? Let me get my little reminder thing to go away because I hate that. I'm going to recommend that you, and this I think the reason I keep describing that cathedral to you is because it is something that is or was easily recognizable. Like there is a record of it. Okay. Like I said, I feel like I need to point out again that the big round area, window, etc., had petals. It looked like petals, and I think that it was stained glass in there. There were petals. I would see if you can find this cathedral, and I would see if you can find this street, and I would see if you can, I mean, Google Maps has become amazingly detailed. I would see if you can find an account of that cathedral, part of it collapsing, and see if you can find on Google Maps and travel down that street. You know what I mean? Like when you go to a street view and you can actually travel down the street. That's what I'm going to recommend. That's what I'm going to recommend. This would have been a massive, like, citywide, lots of people passing away kind of event. This would have easily. I'm wondering if it's not London, if it's not that time period. So yeah. Because it seems about right. And I don't know what time frame to give it. Does that make sense? Yeah. I literally would research a little bit. Even if you just spend some time going through Google Maps, and just traveling some of the roads there where that was. You know what I mean? So yeah. I mean, it very well could have been San Francisco, but I don't think so. The architecture is not American. It's not American. That's why I said probably London. It is Europe or London. But I would bet probably London. Okay. You are so welcome, Brandon. You are so welcome. I'm glad. So yeah, I would research a little bit. I would computer-wise travel down those streets and see what you see. Okay. Woo! These always get me. All right, Rebecca Brown. Yeah, and so, okay, so the petals are specific looking. Let me tell you this. I'm gonna say there's probably 12 of them, like a clock, like, you know, I'm pretty sure there's 12 of them, but they are rounded, and then, so like a teardrop, okay? But then at the end, there's you know, the stone or whatever that's laid in the circle. And then there's like a, I don't know what to call it. Let me draw it. I'm going to draw it. And all I have is a green marker, so forgive me. But it's very, very specific. Trying to make some notes earlier, so I'm going to fold those out of the way. So the petals look like this. So they're all look like this. And this is actually, I don't know if this is a rusted copper or whatever around here, but this is what each one of those petals look like. Okay? That's what each of them look like. So if you had 12 of these making a circle, they all have this thing at the edge of the petal. So I hope that helps. I hope that helps. I have a feeling that you will know it when you see it. That you will know it when you see it. All right, Miss Rebecca, you ready? Wow, okay, this one's gonna be fun to try to pinpoint. Because the very first thing I saw when I went to pull this one in is this crazy flash of golden light. And then I realized that it's a fucking meteor. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Allie. It's a fucking meteor. So you got to see this gorgeous meteor strike. Or not see it, but you, I mean, you didn't see the strike, but you got to see it going across. And this is a long time ago. This is a long time ago. This has to be all around you. Okay, so you're a woman, and I'm gonna say that this is somewhere in the middle of Africa. Actually, if you look directly in the center of the continent and you go, oh, say you're looking at a map, okay, like say Africa on the map is like this big, directly in the middle, and then over just slightly, literally just boop, just slightly right there. Because the only things, you are by yourself watching this. You're born a female here. And I don't know if you are out gathering, if you're out, I don't know what you're doing, but you're by yourself. You are out and you're surrounded. Trying to figure out what, okay. So what I'm looking at is I'm standing in this grass that's almost right above my knees, okay? Behind me, there are some trees and a village. Not far, but far enough that I can't hear people talking, okay? Like you're standing by yourself way out here. You're holding something. It's not as, I think it's just a walking stick, to be honest, because I don't feel like it's a weapon. Does that make sense? And it's also got a crook in it. Like this, it's like, you know, when you go out walking and you find a stick and it's like your favorite stick, that's kind of what this is. Like you carry it everywhere. And what I'm looking out into, there are random single trees here and there. There's a lot of trees way over here, like way out that way. And there's a lot way over there. And this field, grassy area, goes for a while. I can see mountains way in the distance. And I would say you're probably in your early 20s here. You do have a few kids. I'm going to say at least 3, possibly 4. I have a feeling that you're heading out to gather something. Like you have something specific you are going to get. And it's like I can hear the noise of that entering the atmosphere, and then I'm looking up and I'm watching it go way over there. It's way far away, but it's this bright golden light, and I can hear the people behind me freaking out. But like I'm enthralled, and I literally just want to watch it. I just watch this beautiful big golden massive ball go down. Like everybody is freaking out. And when it does hit, even though it is really far away, like really, really far away, when it does hit, like the echo and the shockwave does come through to the point that it knocks almost everybody to the ground. It also damages some of the housing. It also causes some animals to stampede. Like it's extremely scary. Like I'm standing there watching it. It's so beautiful. And then when that happens, I'm trying to run. I'm trying to turn and run back to grab one of my babies, to grab one of the kids. And it's like trying to run away from it. Everybody is running away from it. I like, so as I'm running, I have one child in my arms and I'm holding the hand of another one, and I'm trying to run faster and faster, but the smaller child is having a problem. I have a feeling you're pregnant. I have a feeling you're pregnant because you can't run very fast either, and you're so afraid of falling. And that's literally all I can see is you running. I would say this is probably around 300 AD. Like, it's way back there. Which leads me to ask if this eclipse bothered you. If it bothered you, because I would bet that because of this life, that loud noises startle you, that you have this instant like flight response when you don't even understand why you have a flight response. I would also bet that you have a lot of aspects in your life that you do not understand. I would bet you love wide open spaces because you want to see what's coming at you. I also would bet that you like simplicity, that you don't like, thank you, KP. I will do some more next week. I only got a little bit of my schedule done today. It's been a busy day, and but I will probably do them again next Tuesday. Just saying. I would bet you also have a fascination with large animals. So Miss Rebecca, like, it wasn't a bad life. It wasn't a bad life at all. Okay. Normal life, especially for that time. Normal person, married, children. You know what I mean? Like, it's just beautiful. It's just beautiful until that moment. But you standing there watching that zoom across the sky, you felt like it was magic. Like, it was beautiful. It was magic until it hit, and then it was instant panic. I have a feeling that you also have some interesting gifts that were in that life. That's why you had that specific stick, because as I'm playing back and I'm looking at that zooming across the sky, the stick is specific. It comes down. Okay, so like if I'm holding it, it comes down, and it's almost like a not quite lightning bolt. It comes like this, and it goes over and back down. And the part that goes over is where you're usually holding it, and it's green. It's painted. It's painted green. Painted is not the right word, but it is. Does that make sense? And there are specific things that are tied onto this walking stick. So I have a feeling that you have specific gifts, that you have things in that life that you did, that was your job to do. And the fact that you were going out to gather things, I have a feeling you were probably going out to gather herbs, gather medicine, etc. So I wouldn't be surprised to know that you fancy herbalism and trying to heal and so on. Heal other people. Does that make sense? So if you haven't already started delving down the roads of herbalism, I would recommend it. You have 4 children of your own in this life, and you're easily startled by noises. That's funny. So this is Miss Rebecca Brown that I am. Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, standing in that field, my whole nose is plugged up. Like, like I can't breathe. Like, allergy wise, I'm like, oh, you're like a deer in a headlight, you freeze. Oh my God, I mean, it's not funny. It's not funny, but I get it. Hopefully my nose will unplug next. My computer's locked up. I'm trying to. Sean Riston, you're next. There we go. It was like, it's locking up and pissing me off. So yeah. You are so welcome. I don't know who I'm talking to. Am I talking to, this is Rebecca Brown. Who is Rebecca Brown? So I can make sure that I'm seeing the right one. Is that Ms. Diamond? Yeah, it's getting pretty dark here. Okay, gotcha. I was trying to see like who I was who I was talking to, so. All right, Doc, you ready? Good night, love. Yep, you got some researching to do. You were a paratrooper. You were a paratrooper and you didn't come home. And you're still there. Okay. What I saw whenever I tuned into this was extremely bright green forest. Jungle forest. I'm going to say probably jungle because this is such a bright green. And I just stood up. Like I just cut myself loose from the parachute. I got stuck in the trees and I cut myself loose. I fell about 10 feet and I'm standing up and I'm brushing things off. And as I'm brushing things off, no one is around me. Like I am completely by myself. And I, A, am amazed that I'm alive. And B, my next thought is how beautiful it is there. And then that's it. But your meat sack gets moved. I don't know if whoever it is that came up behind you moved it, but they find your parachute, but they don't find you. Like you got pulled over. Something is put over you. Like you're still there. You're still there. First name is Ronnie. It's Ronald, but you go by Ronnie. Super blonde hair. Everybody called you Nebraska. Like big. Not crazy tall, but pretty tall. I would say probably, you know, farm boy, whatever. And you still kind of carry an anger because that's like you knew instantly when your meat sack was no longer alive that like you were pissed. You were pissed. There was so much anger. And you still carry a lot of that anger and don't understand why. You also carry a lot of anger at being hidden and you carry a lot of anger that no one ever came for you, that you literally were left. I have a feeling that you registered as you were being pulled somewhere, things flying over, helicopters flying over. I would bet this is Vietnam, because you register them flying over, and there's that unsettling feeling of knowing that there is nothing, no one, they can't see you, no one's coming to save you. There's nothing. Knowing your mother is going to get the letter. And your last thought is actually worried about your sister. Worried about that there's not going to be anybody to protect her. And you see her in your mind, like these kind of light brown ringlets. She's probably 12. And that is your last, like, you're worried about that. You're upset about that. That's why you have that anger inside. And that's why you feel like you're never seen. And that's why you feel like there's something missing. You feel like there's something you're supposed to be looking for. It's you. You want to look for you. It's why you always feel like you have serious abandonment issues, even when there's not a reason for them. It's why you're drawn to forests and jungles and places like that, and utterly terrified of them at the same time. And I wish that there were something I could tell you that would help with this. But I'm kind of at a loss, and I don't know what to say would help with this. Because, to be honest, I don't know that there is a way to find you. And I don't know, because no one has. You are still there. You are still there. You are still there. You found your peace within the woods. I think that this one's probably going to affect you for a while. I think that it's going to affect you for a while, because being left there, having someone hide you and being left there was like, it was like an ultimate betrayal. Does that make sense? Like an ultimate betrayal. And it's something that, it's something that your soul is going to carry with you for a long time. For a long time. For a long time. I have a feeling that this is something, it's going to take you some meditation work, some breath work, some talking to that part of your soul to get through it. I hope that makes sense. I would also like for you to come and have a deep soul-to-soul chat with my fucking computer. Because it's being a bitch. Because it's being a bitch. That one was a little tough, Doc. That one was a little tough. What's funny is, like, that's the only part I saw. It's the only part I saw. I didn't, you are so welcome, Beth. I didn't see anything about you growing up. I didn't see anything about your parents. I didn't see anything about that at all. In fact, I have a feeling that you only have the one sister. That you only have the one sister. You are the oldest. You were the only boy. And I was trying to get a last name for you because, to be honest, I think that if you could find your name, if you could find something about that person, I think it would help. But I can't get a last name. I want to say that it possibly starts with S or with C, because it's a S, okay? It's a weird name, but the fact that it's Ronald, you go by Ronnie, and like they called you Nebraska, so I would assume you're from Nebraska, but you might be able to find something about yourself. Does that make sense? Trying to get the rest of my list to pull up. And blocking all of the Dr. Love and stuff spellcaster extraordinaires when they come in. I'm just going to start calling them all that. Dr. Love and stuff. Pew, pew. You're welcome, Doc. And I am going to ask you guys to do me a favor. If you find yourself, sometimes I can give you a little more than that. If you find yourself, please, please, please let me know. Because I've had people, I've been doing these for a long time. I started doing these probably about 7 years ago. Really hardcore in the last 5 years. And I've had a lot of people that have been able to, well, for the more modern ones, that have been able to find themselves, that have been able to find gravestones, that have been able to find out about themselves, etc. And it does help, just so you guys know. Just so you know. All right, let's see here. Jeff Harris, you're next, love. Thank you guys for all the roses. Whew. It's so funny. The first thing I saw was just the color brown. I was like, oh, Lord. And I mean, like tan, you know what I mean? And then it swiftly turned into water and white buildings. And this is obviously Greece. Right on the coast, right on the shorelines. I think the brown I am seeing is like curtains. It's a material. So in the life that I'm seeing right now, you're a woman, and you're very thin, not whole, okay, in a good way. You're very tall, you're very thin, very beautiful. You have really thick, amazing. Oh my God, your hair is so fucking fantastic. You're wealthy. You're wealthy. Your hair is this just beautiful, deep, dark ringlets that are pinned up, piled up on your head with these beautiful gold barrettes and stuff. So you're married to a very wealthy merchant. This person, I don't think they're a fisherman. I think that they actually travel back and forth, bringing items. You live right on the coast, not on one of the islands, but right on the coast. I mean, you can actually see, you live where your house, you have a area, a balcony that overlooks the harbor. Like you literally have one of the biggest houses in town. You can see the harbor. You can see the Mediterranean. Like you can see all of it, and it's, oh my God, it's fantastically beautiful. You spend a lot of time alone. There are a couple of servants. There are no children. You spend so much time alone. Um, I actually don't think you have children in this life. I think it's something that you always wanted, and I think that it just didn't happen. Um, it's really funny too because you're okay with it. I think your soul chooses to not have children a lot. Your soul is here for the experience. I would say that this is probably back in the 13 or 1400s. Probably late 13, closer to 14. Um, it seems like you're always waiting. It seems like you're always waiting. You have all the freedom to go down into the bazaar, to go shopping, to do whatever. But you spend the vast majority of your time on this lookout, on this balcony overlooking. There is something about the water that terrifies you. You have absolutely no desire to go out on the ship. You have never even set foot on one of your husband's ships. And I have a feeling that he owns at least 3 very large ships. Um, but he dotes on you, even though there are no children. He is much older than you, but he dotes on you. He is always bringing you back amazing, amazing things. Some of the most beautiful dresses and things for your hair. It's almost like, I mean, you literally are like a trophy wife, I guess, in a way. But you also know that he has other women in other towns. And even though you love him and you care about him, you were married to him at a very young age. There is something about this waiting that is very, very unsettling. And I think you know where I'm going with this. And I don't even think I really have to say it, but I'm going to skirt around it. Because you spend a lot of time on this balcony waiting and watching, and there is some very, very deep depression there. I'm going to mention the balcony again, and I'm just going to kind of leave it at that, Jeff, because there isn't really anything below the balcony. And I will just say this, that he is devastated when he comes home. He is devastated. And he doesn't go back out for a very long time. And he no longer visits any of the other women. He no longer does any of that. Like, it absolutely devastates him. And it's not even maybe a year later that I would say he passes away from a broken heart. But I think that this is something that you suffered with from the time you were a child in that life, that really serious depression, because it's something that, it's not just because you had to wait for so long. This is something that was always there, was always there. Your parents lived to be pretty old, so you didn't have a lot of loss at a young age. And you are actually the only child. You are the only child. I think that there were other children that didn't live past childbirth. And so you're also very quiet. You're also very, very quiet, because you don't talk a lot. You don't talk to the servants a lot. Even when you go down into the bazaar and you're shopping, you don't talk to the merchants a lot. You don't hardly have anybody. Even as a kid, you didn't talk a lot. Like, you just kept to yourself. You're very quiet, very proper, very beautiful, but you just, there's a deep-seated sadness there. I actually think that the life you're in now, the meat sack you're in now as Jeff, I think that you kind of tried to make up for it a little bit in this life. Because in that one, for whatever reason it was that you were so quiet and kind of, you know, kept to yourself so much, you tried to make up for it a lot in this one by being more outgoing, by being more, like, this one really affects you deeply, because I think that you have suffered from some of this same type of depression that past life has. Your name starts with an I, like Issa, something like that. There was a ship named after you as well. Okay. You actually fight that a lot in this life too. And so that's why this life has affected you. You just chose to go about it in a much, much, much different way of facing it head on and literally fighting it right in its face. You know what I mean? There's something else, and I'm trying to pull it because it's something else. It's something else because it's something else. That made no sense, dumbass. I keep seeing the same things over and over again, and let me describe them to you, because I don't understand why I'm seeing these specific things. One is the balcony overlooking the Mediterranean. Because mainly when I'm looking out of this balcony, I'm not focusing on the ships or any buildings I can see. I'm focused on the water and how beautiful blue it is. There is also a blue, I'm going to say it's like a wrap, like a dress. It's like a blue silk or satin. It's so soft but thick at the same time. And it has an edging on it about this wide. That is very square design. It's like one line. It doesn't ever change or stop, but it just winds in and around itself like this. There's also a table that looks like, I don't know what material it is. It may be marble, but it's white with tan lines in it. And it has a solid tan top. It is very ornate. It is very, very ornate. I don't know what the three of those things have in common, but that's what I keep seeing, especially the water. But like I said, there is a severe fear of that water, and you do not ever even go down to the shipyard in this life. You refuse to. So, I would be curious, Jeff, what those things mean to you, because it's just really odd. My computer doesn't quit locking up. I swear I'm going to fight it right in its face. It's just very odd to keep seeing those things, those three specific things over and over and over. And I don't know why, but yeah. Oh my God, this is killing me. Miss Kathy Mazzell, I know you're next. I'm just trying to get my computer to do its thing. Okay, there we go. Pissing me off. I need a tiny bite of a cookie. You can relate to a lot of it? Okay, good. Good. I have to teach myself to not say, I don't understand why I'm seeing this, because I'm not supposed to understand why I'm seeing it. I love when I read for you sometimes, Kathy. Remember that one time? Remember that one time when I read for you and I kept seeing the front door going into the living room? That's what I just saw right off the bat. You must have her on your mind a lot lately. You're welcome, Jeff. You're welcome. So the first thing I see is building a sandcastle, and I'm trying to see who, what, when, where, why. Like a little, almost square. You even put windows in it. Okay. I'm going to say this is in southern Japan, just because of some of the imagery behind. Why y'all got to be all the hard reads today? So in this one in particular, I'm going to say you're probably about 4. Sitting on the beach with your mom and another woman, I assume probably an aunt. They're talking, they're looking out over the water, and you're playing in the sand, building a sand castle. There's a whole bunch of other people out. There's a whole bunch of other kids, etc. And let me say this. You had a really, really wonderful 4 years. Your mother was amazing. She was very, very loving. Your father just doted on you as well. Like, you had an amazing, amazing family. funny. I don't even want to say it. So when I started pulling this in and I started, y'all might have noticed I started coughing. Y'all might have noticed that my eyes are watering. Y'all might have noticed that the good thing is nobody felt anything. And the light was pretty. Because that's the first thing you saw was the light. And what's funny is I don't even think that everybody was supposed to be on the beach. I think that you guys went down there anyway. I think that everybody just needed a break and they just didn't want to be cooped up anymore. And I'm not sure even if this is like the ocean or if this was like a lake, a river, a pond. I'm not sure. Okay. Was there a boatie? No, I didn't see. It's just you are making a sandcastle. You are making a sandcastle while your mother and another woman are standing behind you talking. There's no anger associated with this life. There's no loss associated with it. There's not really emotions associated with it. But there is a fascination associated with it. Let me say that. There's a fascination associated with it. Excuse me. I would not be surprised to know that you were fascinated by the photos of that area when you studied this in school. Not the morbid photos, but just the photos of the area. And I would bet that even now you love to just look at photos of the architecture and the buildings. I would also bet that you feel at home with certain types of sounds, certain types of music, certain textures, certain feels. I would bet that you absolutely love, I don't know what they're called. They're kind of like the mats that you roll sushi with. They're like reed, bamboo, etc. I would bet that you love feeling those things. Yeah. But I would bet that when you look at photos of that area before that time, they're always happy. They're always comforting. Both of your sons are literally obsessed with Japan. That's funny. That's funny. I'm not sure why that one popped up because I don't feel any anger from it. I don't feel any sadness from it. I don't feel anything at all that was unfinished, unless it's something that has been a theme in your family lately, unless it's something that you have been obsessed with lately, you've been dreaming about lately, you've been seeing bright light, whatever it is. Like I said, it's not for me to know. It's not for me to know. So I don't know if maybe your boys have been talking about it more lately, since you said they were obsessed with it, or what? Or what? See if I can get this damn thing to work now. I wish I could tell you more. You're welcome. Thank you for the galaxy, Miss Kathy. So one of the things that I would say, when you guys find, I mean, obviously you can't see pictures of 1300 years ago or whatever. But there are accounts, there are written accounts, there are things like that. So in seeing photos now of that area, even if it was something from a really long time ago, sometimes that alone can be healing. Does that make sense? Normally I don't answer questions whenever I'm doing these kind of reads, but I am going to answer that one. How many lives do we have? Every single person is different. I always love this. I am the real Vena Charmed. Beware of those who are fake pages. They stole my photos. Whatever. Tell me you're fake without telling me you're a scammer. Tell me you're a scammer without telling me you're a scammer. Everybody's different. Some people have tons of them. Some people have a few dozen. It kind of all depends on how long it takes you to learn what you need to learn. The other thing is this. Past lives are interesting in that they're not always in the past. They're not always in the past. Past lives can be really far in the future. They also don't have to be here. A lot of the times, the ones that are affecting you the most are ones that were here, but it doesn't mean that they were here. It doesn't mean every single life you've ever had was here. So yeah. Miss Catherine Francis, you are next, sugar. Thank you, Miss Christine. You're welcome very much. Thank you, Miss Christine. You've been really panicked lately. Your soul is one of those that just has a lot of high anxiety, but you've been really, really panicked lately. Okay. There we go. So the first thing I'm looking at with you is I'm walking in a really interesting path. On an interesting path. It's like gray gravel, I guess. Cobblestone. It's not cobblestone. It's dirt. It's gravel. But it's gray white. Like it's really, really pale. And it's kind of on the side of a hill, not a really steep one, but this path is winding like this up the hill. I'm going to describe the trees because they're very, very specific. They're very tall, like very, very tall. And the birch is like, the bark is like aspen or birch. It's very, very white. But it's not an aspen. It may very well be a birch. But they're kind of spaced out a little bit. They're not, I mean, it's obviously a forest. There's a lot of them, but they're not like super next to each other. I would say this is somewhere Scandinavia. There's like you're walking to a house, like I can see the house, the village up ahead. And it's like morning. There is this fog kind of hanging around. It's a little tiny bit rainy, misty, and it's just, I mean, it's cold. It's kind of cold, cool, and it's just utterly beautiful, and just, it's your favorite place. It's one of your favorite places, like when you're walking into town and seeing all of the really dark wood buildings up ahead, and the fires coming out of the chimney, you know, the smoke coming out of the chimney, and the lights in the windows. There is glass in the windows, so this is not like super ancient. And looking out kind of over the valley down that way. And it's just quiet and it's peaceful. I mean, it's literally like a painting. It's so fantastically beautiful. So you're making deliveries. The town that you're in, it's almost shaped like a dumbbell. So that path, there's like a big part of town here, and there's a big part of town here, and there's like a path in between. This forest is sacred, whatever this is. Like, no one is allowed to cut those trees down. No one is really allowed to go in there. The forest itself is sacred right there. And I don't know why, but this is interesting. You have always been taught not to take that path at night. No one walks back and forth between the villages, the towns. And it's literally only like 4 blocks. That's about how long it is. It's not like miles and miles. It's like 4 blocks. But no one walks that path at night. When the sun starts to go down, you are where you are. If you're not at home, you don't start down that path. There's a superstition that something sweeps people off that path and down the mountain. Bread. Okay. So these 2 villages are kind of like this. So one is kind of northwest and the other is like southeast. You live in the southeast part of this village. And your father is the baker. And you and your sister. Yep, it's just you and your sister. Looking for your mom. I think you lost your mom at a young age. But you and your sister are the ones that deliver and take the trade, take the money. So what's funny is, like, I'm not seeing anything like horrendous or anything like that. Like, it's a really good life, but I'm just seeing this one day. So let me say this. You did lose your mom at a young age in this life, and then after this one day, this one night, you do end up getting married, okay? You are delivering. You are going over to the northwestern part of the village. You make your deliveries. You know you have plenty of time to get home because, you know, you're not supposed to walk by this area at night. But there's a little old lady that needs help, asks you for your help, and you and your sister know everybody, and it takes way too long. And you are determined to make it home because you don't want your father to worry or anything like that. But by the time you get done, it's right at dusk. And you are absolutely going to make a run for it. Like, you are going to run down this path home. But if any of you guys have ever been in the mountains when the sun is going down, I swear it goes faster. once it is past the edge of the mountains, like that bitch is gone. It is gone. And so you are starting to run through the village, the northwestern part of it, to the path. And this guy reaches out and stops you and scoops you up. But there's a gate. It's so weird. There's a gate. I mean, he literally swoops you up before you hit the gate. And you are fucking pissed. Like, you are pissed. And you are screaming and yelling and beating him on the chest like you knew damn well you could make it. But about the time that you calm down enough where he can put you down, the sun is gone. It is dark. Like, you would have made it about maybe half a block, and that sun would have been gone. You would have been in the middle of the path, and in complete darkness. But you are still pissed. And he kind of ushers you back to, there's I guess it's like a smaller inn, you know, where they have several beds for rent or whatever, for lease, for rent, for lease, you know what I'm saying? He ushers you back there. So his family owns that. And you don't notice it at the time, but he is very, very handsome. You're just pissed. You're just pissed. You want to go home. And you actually sit while you're eating dinner and contemplate, because he brings you dinner. You are just sitting there with your arms crossed, and you are pissed as fuck that you can't. You just knew damn well you could have ran that really fast. You pay no attention that he is very, very handsome and that he is blushing every time he looks at you, and it's really funny. After dinner, you're still sitting there pissed with your arms crossed, and he's trying to, he finally has his mother come over and offer you a bed to sleep in. You are such a hothead. Oh my God. I have a feeling you're the same way in this life. Like, you are just, you get mad and you are just mad. Like, that you get horse blinders on. There is nothing else. If something doesn't go your way, you are not about, you are not about to let it go. And in the morning, like, you actually try to sneak out. You try to sneak out. You are sure you can run it, that you'll be fine. You just want to go home. And you bump into him in the hallway. And you just turn around and go right back into your room. That is so funny. In the morning, you go downstairs. Ooh. You kind of wake up after the sun comes up, because you were up all night pissed, just laying there angry. You go downstairs and he brings you coffee and he offers to walk you home. And you tell him no, absolutely not. But his mother insists, because he needs to bring back some bread from the bakery anyway. And on the way, you guys get about where you would have gotten when the sun goes down. And there is, it looks like a small rock slide. So you would not have made it home. You end up marrying that boy. You end up marrying that boy. I love it. This is an amazing life, Katherine. This is an amazing, amazing life. Like, you are so loved in this life. Your dad, your sister, this young man, his family, like, you are so loved. You are so loved in this life. And apparently, y'all love children, because there are 6. 4 boys, 2 girls. And your baby is a girl exactly like you. This is like an amazing, amazing life. I'm just saying, Miss Katherine. And you live to be pretty old. You live to see grandchildren. You live to be, you know, the mean old lady screaming at people to get off their lawn. You know, you live to be that lady. I would say that this is probably the late 1800s. The late 1800s. It's like super funny, fuzzy love story kind of vibe, and I love it, and I'm so glad I got to see it. But I would not be surprised to know that you're afraid of the dark. I would not be surprised to know that you have this intense, insane fear of forests at night, places you can't see the other side of, etc. etc. I love it. Sammie, Sammie, Sammie. So someone was asking what I'm doing with the cards. It occupies my hands so my mind can drift a little easier. All right, Sammie, Sammie. How are you, Sammie? I don't know how to take that y'all are relaxed by my voice and it's making you fall asleep. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know how I feel about that. You're welcome. I guess you're welcome. All right. All right, Sammie. This is the equivalent of story time. Aw, thank you, Crystal. Crystal said it's because you're a safe space. You know what's funny? I used to do story time and no one hardly came to listen. But that was also like when I only had like 300,000 followers. But yes, there are readings on YouTube. There are long videos, and you can go listen to them and fall asleep to them if you'd like. This one is on there too. Well, then maybe I need to do that for my subscribers. Or maybe subscriber only chat. So that way there's no trolly McTrollersons. All right, Sammie. Maybe I'll schedule that for this coming week, and maybe I'll read you some of my poems and some of my stories. How about that? Just saying what I'm saying. All right. I'll get it scheduled. I'll get it scheduled. Sammie, I don't know if you're here or not, but I'm really curious if you have a fear of the open ocean because you've had a couple of different lives where you have tried to cross the ocean, and one of them you have not made it. The other, actually a couple of them you have not made it, but one of them you made it, but it was a horrific experience. And that's actually the one we're going to talk about. This is like colonial America. Before, it's pre-Revolutionary War. In fact, I would say probably right before the Revolutionary War. I'm going to say probably 1750s, to be honest. Late, yeah, 1750s, 1746. So in this one, you're a woman. And at this time, you're probably about 18, 19 years old. And your family decides to go to the colonies. I'm going to say that I'm trying to see where your family is coming from. I think that it's actually like the southwestern area of England. It's almost like your family is running from something, but not. Like they know they're going to be running from something if they don't leave, because it's your father, your mother, and then you three girls. And you are the oldest. Like I said, you're probably 18, 19. You are the oldest. The youngest is 8. And your parents have a decent amount of money. They sell as much as they can, and then they leave everything else to your aunt, your mother's sister. In fact, they sign over their home to her just in case. They tell her it's just in case something happens and they don't come back, but they have no plans of going back. They have no plans of going back. Let me just say that the ride over is horrendous. There's a lot of sickness, a lot of seasickness, a lot of storms, a lot of like really harrowing nights where y'all really did not feel like you were going to make it. There are a few people that do not make it. There are several people that are swept overboard during the storm. And your 8-year-old sister gets really, really ill. She makes it all the way over, but she gets extremely ill. I think a lot of it is seasickness, and the other part is just a severe cold, like, bronchitis, chest infection from the cold and the sea air and stuff like that. You guys arrive in Boston. I swear, it's like your whole memory of this journey is it storming. Like there's hardly a day out on the ocean when it's clear. And your father actually thought that y'all were lost for the longest time. I don't think you were supposed to arrive in Boston. I think that you were supposed to arrive in New York or somewhere, but you ended up arriving in Boston. And so because you don't arrive where you're supposed to arrive, your family is a bit lost to begin with as soon as they get off the boat. Your father does something. I think your father's a cobbler, to be honest. I think, but it's something specific. Like he doesn't just fix shoes or whatever. He makes some very, very ornate shoes. I feel like your father knew some information and needed to leave before something happened. Because you guys kind of packed up and left in a hurry. Because he very quickly gets work there, designing, making some of these same shoes and stuff like that. Like I have a feeling that your father made these for very, very wealthy people. some people in the monarchy and stuff like that. So he kind of has a tiny bit of notoriety. What's really interesting about it is that it doesn't take very long, and you guys, you know, y'all are established there, and you've built a life there, and so on. And there are several young men that try to catch your eye, and you are just not having it. You are just not having it. None of it. Not having it. Because here's what's funny. In the life that I'm talking about now, this past life, it's one where you accomplished going across that ocean. You have several different ones that were before this, but after it. I don't know how else to explain it, but that, where you didn't make it. You did not make it. In fact, you had several lives where you perished on the open ocean and in the water and stuff like that. So this was like a triumphant, I have done it. So you were not about to settle down and have kids and so on. It's really, really funny. You do finally decide to get married eventually, but like you are older, like 40s. You don't ever have kids in this life, and you marry an older man that's a widower. He's a widower, and what's funny is the two of you gave each other a really hard time all the time. He would always say, I just keep hearing piss and vinegar. You're full of piss and vinegar. Like, you are just an absolute hothead. It's so funny. I only think that you're married for about 8 to 9 years. Because I don't see you living past like 52. And you are absolutely like completely defiant. Like, you're happy to wear pants and, you know, do things that make everybody go, oh, things like that. It's so funny. I mean, it's a good life. It's really a good life. But, oh, I looked up in time to see the doctor. Thank you. Thank you, doctor, for pushing me up in the For You page. I appreciate that. Sammie, it's really a good life. Like, really, really. You accomplished something major in that life. And I feel like the reason that one came up is it's affecting you now, in that you feel like you need to accomplish something major in the meat sack that you're in now, in the life you're in now. You feel like you need to accomplish something huge, something major. And so it's really kind of been bothering you a little bit because you don't know what it is you need to accomplish. Honey, I would say give it time. Give it time. It will appear, whatever it is that you need to accomplish, it will appear when it's supposed to appear. I don't feel like you need to sail across the ocean, but it's just been affecting you deeply, in that you feel like you need to accomplish something major in this life that you're in right now. I'm also curious about this. I keep seeing a mark on, I don't know if it's on I think it's on your leg, like your lower leg, like your calf. In that life, you had a mark almost like, it wasn't quite a cross. It was just a little, I mean, I guess it was a cross, but both of them are even. So it's almost like, I don't think it's a birthmark. I think that maybe you got up against something, you got a cut or something, but it's literally a little X. So I'm just curious if you have something on your left calf in this life, because, yeah. I was looking to see if you were here, Sammie, but I haven't seen you pop up yet. So I'm really curious about your left calf. Hey, love. Miss Lynne, I cannot pronounce your last name. Lynne S. I could try, but I probably would screw it all the way up, so I'm not gonna. I want to really badly, though. All right, Miss Lynn. Hey, just Rach, how are you? I was looking to see if I was frozen. Everything got frozen up over there. Yep, there it is. I know when the comments aren't moving that something's frozen. So I was just kind of waiting for a minute. There we are. There we are. All right, Miss Lynn. All right, Miss Lynn. I am absolutely curious if you are fascinated with studying Native American tribes. Because there's a lot of imagery, I'm trying to pull something so that you can look it up, because I am not familiar with which groups had which markings. This one, what I keep seeing, especially on the sides of animals, on clothing, etc., there are 3 dots. I want to say that they're blue. They're white with blue in the center, but there are 3 like that. There's also like a red T, a red cross that's got a white background. And there are white, a zigzag like this. A lot of red and a lot of white. So I'm going to say this. I am not familiar with a lot of the markings for the Comanche tribe, but that is what came up. So I would look those up. In this one, you were born a male here, and you are absolutely one of the leaders. Your father is a leader. Your father's father was a leader, as in this kind of runs down the family. You are very big, very tall, very handsome, very strong, very ruthless. Stop at nothing to protect everybody around you. I'm trying to see if I can give you a marker of the time frame, but this is before the colonies. This is before anybody comes to America. What's interesting about this one is I keep seeing you as like I would say late 20s, and it's like I can just see your profile, because the sun is over here. I don't know if the sun's going down or coming up, but I can just see your profile, and you're staring out over something, and you're just standing there for a minute trying to make a decision. Your name has something to do with the stars. I can't see what you're looking at because all I can see is your face. All I can see is your face. That's a turning point. So I don't know if you're on kind of if you're having a vision, if you're on like a vision quest, if you're on, I don't know, because I can't see what you're staring down at. Even as I'm looking down like this, all I can see is your face, just standing there staring out, and your eyes are kind of squinted a little bit because the sun's like right there. I kind of have a feeling that it's visions, because I get a little dizzy as I'm focusing on that. And then what's funny is, it's like I literally see, as I'm standing there looking your face, I see your whole life play itself out. So you already knew exactly how your life was going to go. The Great Spirit decided to tell you everything about your life, because I think that you had to make a decision if you were going to, I think you were going to leave. I think you were going to, you wanted to go explore something. And I think you were going to leave. And because of those visions, you decided not to, because in those visions, you saw the woman that you were going to marry. You saw the two boys that you were going to have. You saw all of the things you were going to do and accomplish, and so on. And so you changed your mind, because it was very important for you to have those two children. Like it meant the difference between your bloodline ending or not. I don't know where you're from now. Really, Nanny, thank you. I didn't know they were in Oklahoma. Learn something new every day. I'm also in like northeastern Oklahoma, so most of the Native American tribes that are here that I'm more familiar with are the Creek, the Cherokee, Muskogee Nation, Muskogee Creek, you know, Choctaw. So what's so interesting about this particular life, Lynn, is that it's popping up right now because you have a very intense decision that you have to make in your life. I don't think it's the difference between your bloodline ending or not, but it's a very, very deep Chickasaw, yep, deep decision that you have to make. Like, it's very important. And I have a feeling that it's going to be a little bit hard, and you're having trouble making it, or you're going to have trouble making it. I don't think that it's got to the nut up or shut up part yet of this, like, you have to make a decision now. I think that you see the decision coming, you can feel it coming, and you know you're going to have to make a decision. So that's why this is popping up. I would highly advise you to pay attention to any dreams you have, any of your clairs where you just feel like what's going to happen, things like that. I would pay very, very close attention. Thank you, Gypsy Witch. I would pay very close attention to your dreams, to everything that's going on. I'm just saying. It'll help you make that decision. Pay attention to anything at all that has to do with your ancestors, with your ancestry. I think that will also help you make this big decision when it pops up. Okay? So I cannot pronounce your name. Toisie. Toisie? Maori is easy. So I have you, and then Stacey, you are last. No, he's, well, I mean, he could be, but this is having a vision with the sun right here, the wind blowing, like I can even see the small hairs around his face blowing. looking out over the plains. So how do I say your name? How do I say your name? Because I don't want to myrtleize it. I don't want to myrtleize it. Toisie, that's right. Okay, sweet. I was like, oh no, how am I going to say this? That's really cool. Okay, ready? I'm going to refresh my list, make sure I got everybody. You know what's really interesting? You are such, your soul is such a creature of habit that you actually incarnate repeatedly in the same bloodline. You incarnate in the same bloodline repeatedly. This is why when you look at photos of ancestors, you feel super connected to some of them without knowing why. That is funny. All right, so I was trying to see why, if I could get anything else of why I'm seeing this particular thing. Here's what I saw to begin with, and it was like snippets of several different things, if that makes sense. First, I don't know if you know where your ancestry is from, but it's like seeing this crazy huge castle. I don't think you lived in the castle, okay? I think this is something that you saw just all the time as you were passing by. But it's this absolutely gorgeous, really almost white stone. I'm sure that just sun bleached over all of the centuries, but the tops are green and all this forestry around it. And then there is some scenery of Russia, like with the son of a bitch, all the beautiful buildings in the background. So I haven't been looking at the chat, so I haven't seen if you've messaged or anything, but the one I'm looking at right now, you have traveled all over that area. You've traveled from wherever this massive castle is with the green tops and the forest. Like, it's picturesque. Like, it's absolutely beautiful. It's just like a painting. You've traveled from the village below that over into Europe, and not Europe, Russia, excuse me, up into Russia. It's almost like traveling, and I see it as up on the map, like up, like that, kind of a curve, up and over a little bit. But after that town, it's like heading straight out east, and it just ends. You're traveling with a whole group of people, with the whole family, like almost a nomadic feel to it. And I'm gonna say this: in the life that I'm looking at, it's hard to see, like I'm really having to pull a lot to try and see you, because you're a female, you're short, but very athletic. You belong to a family of performers. You belong to, whether you want to call them, circus folk, whatever, y'all are performers. You are someone that is very flexible, very acrobatic, like absolutely a physical performer. You're also really, really pretty. And so you you do like feats of strength, almost like the bearded woman without the beard. You know what I mean? Like you do feats of strength and so on. You are also insanely good with a bow and arrow. Insanely good with a bow and arrow. Scarily good with a bow and arrow. Even though you guys travel and you travel all around and you perform and so on and so forth, what I'm seeing you as is like moving up through the ages really quickly, like aging really quickly as your family travels and you do all these things and your life is great. Like you love it. You love traveling all over. You have your family right there and you have a really, really big family. Like there's 8 children. But it's not just your family. There's like 3 other families, like all of you travel together. And when you're about 16, you guys are in Russia, and you are performing. You've performed in a couple of places, and I'm trying to see what it is that happens, because suddenly the heading straight east is to get away, like it's running from something, not a battle or something like that. It's just running from, almost like running from the cops. I don't know how else to explain it than that. I don't know what happens at this last performance, but it's, as soon as it's over, you guys have to pack up and leave immediately, and are basically chased out of town. I have a feeling that somebody in one of the other families did something, said something, touched somebody, not in a bad way, okay, but you know how sometimes, in different areas, like you weren't supposed to touch somebody on the your ancestors are from Russia, Scandinavia area. That's funny. But it's something innocent, but it caused this massive uproar, and you guys had to run, had to leave now. Honey, I don't see you living past 16 in this life. I don't. This is like running middle of the night, trying to go as fast as you can with everything and everyone, and fading out into the forest. I really don't see you living past 16 in this life. I don't see anything beyond that really dark forest out there. I have a feeling that you and a couple other people get separated from the group, and that's what happens. But this forest is like super dark. Y'all know exactly what I mean when I say super dark. There is dark and there is super dark. There is super dark, and that's exactly what this is. When you get separated, there is no moon, and it's super dark. And I have a feeling that it was an example. Does that make sense? You and the other 2 were made an example of, even though the 3 of you had absolutely nothing to do with what happened. You were part of the group, and you were the ones that got separated, and therefore that's what happened. The reason that this is affecting you right now is because there is something going on lately where you feel singled out, and it's bringing up this fight or flight response because of that particular past life. And I'm going to say that this is probably back I'm going to say probably back in the 1530s, about like 1530s, 1534. There is something specifically here lately. It has tripped this, it's like tripped this trigger where you are feeling completely isolated. You are feeling blamed for something you didn't do, something you didn't have a part of, and you have this massive like flight response. There is no fight, it's a flight response. And so you're having to continually talk to yourself down like, it's okay, you don't have to leave, you don't have to run, it's okay. Like you're continually having to talk yourself down. I'm going to say this. The situation that you're in that's pulling this type of feeling, it's not going to last very long. It is going to pass over. It does have nothing to do with you, but it's pinging those feelings. It's pulling those feelings out. I wish I could give you some advice like, hey, do this, and it'll be fine. You just kind of have to write it out. You just kind of have to go through it. It is going to have your anxiety through the roof, and it is going to have you kind of freaking out a little bit, and it is going to have you ready to pick up everything and run, leave in the middle of the night. Like it's pinging that kind of feeling. But it won't last very long, and that situation will blow over really, really quickly. But in that life, I mean, it's a very unfair feeling. It's a very unfair feeling because you had no idea why you guys were running. You had no idea why you were being chased. And they had the courtesy to tell you why at the end when you get separated and caught. They told you why. And there was a feeling of rage and of sadness and of helplessness and of panic because Dr. Love Bomb, whatever. It's despair. That's a good word, despair. So that's what this situation is, pulling those feelings back up. So I'm sorry that you're having to go through that. I'm sorry it's pulling that kind of energy and that kind of feelings and vibes and so on. And but just know that it's not going to last. It's happening. It's crazy. I'm sorry that you're going through this situation, and I'm sorry that you're feeling those feelings. It's not going to last very long. I promise. Maybe a week. Maybe a week. Okay. You're welcome, Sammie. You do have a fear of the open water. Just saying. Just saying what I'm saying. You were hoping it was the eclipse. Nope, not the eclipse. It's just pulling like some unresolved feels that you had from that. But like I said, it's not going to last long. I promise, it's not going to last long. It's going to blow over, and you can go, oh my God. And I will say that once it blows over and you have that release, you're going to laugh at yourself, because when that release hits, it's going to be like, you know, those releases when you have such pent up anger, emotions, whatever. And as soon as you realize that it's over and it's done, you don't have to do it anymore. Like you just instantly bawl, like ugly cry, because you had so much stress that you were holding on to. That's what it's going to be like. That's what it's going to be like. But I will say this too. The other thing about this is that going through this, is going to help mend a little bit of that. I can't guarantee you're not going to have to go through a little bit more later on, but this is going to mend a lot of it. That justification that this has nothing to do with you and it passed by, okay? I hope that makes sense. I hate that you're already going through it. Like, it makes me so sad. I'm so sorry. Thank you for the gift, love. All right. Miss Stacey Martinez, you are my last one. And then I'm going to go to bed early because it's going to storm here this evening. It's going to storm tomorrow. I'm so glad you exist, SS. Thank you. So if you guys would like to get a mini past life read, you don't have anything on your leg, but you do mark on your tummy. It's not, there's like next. It's just weird. Like, I felt like I needed to ask about it. So, all right, Stacey. I will be doing these again next Tuesday. It's like an egg looking thing. Okay. Hey, Rob, how are you? I will be doing these next Tuesday. I will have tickets for them up here in a couple of days. So the Tuesday after, I can't do it because I will be at a concert. All right. What the fuck? Was that the wind? That was crazy. Did y'all hear that? We're going to check the weather real quick. Oh, I'll be excited to chat with you, Sylvie. So one thing about where this apartment is up here, there's no building on the side, right? Even though there's a building next to it, there's a parking lot over there. So there's no wind block over there. And then the roof is open back there. The building next to me is short. And then there's another tall building. So the wind can just whip around all of this. It can just whip around all of it. We're gonna look at the radar a little bit, because we're supposed to have some nasty rain. It's been storming. Yeah. It's been storming there in Austin. All right. Miss Stacy, here we go. I love you right back, Rosalind. That's probably why, woo, the internet's been a little shit, why I've been freezing up a little bit. Hello, Melissa. How was Ireland today? All right, Stacy. I don't know if you're here or not, but I have a really interesting question for you. Oh, yeah, we have a lot of storms moving this way. Good times. Good times. As long as there's no hail or naders. Looks like just a lot of rain. Looks like just a lot of rain. All right. Hello in Canada. All my Texans down there. Miss Stacy. So one of the first things I saw was like 1950s style dresses, clothing, pinup era, old school Hollywood, etc. So I would say that this is the life before the one you're currently in, before this meat sack incarnation. How you were a model, okay. Enough that you modeled in New York. I would say you were born in Georgia in the late 20s. I'm going to say just south of Atlanta. And this is one of those, you know, you got discovered while you're working in a factory. They were down taking pictures for stuff. And you started modeling. You have absolutely gorgeous, almost platinum blonde hair. Super, super blonde. You also peroxided it a little bit to make it even more blonde, but you were actually in several magazine commercials and things like that, or commercials, you know what I mean, magazine ads. Usually it was for soap and coffee. But you end up in New York in the 50s, early 50s. Oh, you don't take very long in between lives. Okay. You started heading up towards, you started getting jobs and going to New York during World War II. And you end up just moving up there toward the end of the 1940s. And you are living in New York modeling in the early 50s. But you pass away in 1952. April of 1952, I'm going to say. April or May. So, let's talk about that. Because I think this is affecting you now in that, because I don't know if it was from the factory work that you did. I don't know if it was from smoking because you smoked. I don't know what it is, but you developed issues with your lungs, like lung cancer, really quickly, and it just like that. I think that this is popping up because you've either had a health scare or you've had some issues with your lungs, like long COVID or bronchitis or pneumonia. You've had some issues with your lungs here lately. And so this has popped up. And I would bet that suddenly you've gotten fascinated with, or you've probably always been fascinated with some of the pinup models, with some of the old school Hollywood, like things like that style. I would bet that you absolutely love anything as far as like rockabilly goes, but you love old school Hollywood. The other thing is this. I would also bet suddenly you've had some very weird cravings for some things that there's no reason why you should have cravings for those things, such as cigarettes that don't exist. Things like that. So here's the thing, because this is popping up because of this health issue, this health scare. Just get checked out. Just get checked out. I promise you'll be okay. All right? Just get checked out. B, the anxiety from that is still there because you apparently don't take very long in between your lives. And you didn't process that one very long. I think you felt like that was extremely unfair because you were getting to the point where you had some notoriety and some recognition and you were doing what you love to do, and you feel like your soul felt like it was all just taken completely away from you. You worked really hard, you were getting this stuff, and then bam, it was taken away from you. And that is a complete feeling of it being unfair. And I absolutely get it. The other thing is this. Just try not to panic, okay? Try not to panic. Medicine is not what it was in the 1950s. I don't think that there's anything wrong at all. Just go get checked out, okay? The fear and the anxiety from that diagnosis then, the fear and the anxiety from how quick that happened is popping up now. So every time you've gotten sick here lately, especially when it's something to do with your lungs, you freak out. You freak out. And it's, even if it has nothing to do with you being able to take a deep breath, you freak out. And that is why. Because you're still carrying that fear and that panic and that, this isn't fair kind of aspect. So just get checked out. It'll be okay. It'll be okay, I promise. You're fine. But I understand the anxiety and the panic. So here's what I would do, because I think that this will help. A, I know it will help physically with the anxiety and the panic. And B, it will help these feelings that are popping back up. And that would be to learn some breathing techniques. There's a lot of free classes out there, books, YouTube videos, etc. So you can easily learn some breathwork techniques. There's a reason that before my Reiki sessions, I have everybody take 6 deep, full breaths, as deep in as you can and as much out as you can, because that's a technique that's been used in Eastern medicine for a very, very long time, to lower blood pressure, to lower the heart rate, to calm anxiety. It takes work, especially when you're in the middle of a panic attack, but I promise it helps. I promise it helps. I've been doing it for years, and it has helped me tremendously. So that one's a good one to start with. It has to be at least 6, and it needs to be as much in as you can physically get in, and then lean down and squish your diaphragm to get everything out. And yeah, it will help tremendously. Woo! So with that, Miss Stacey was my last one on my list there. So I am going to get off of here. I'm going to eat the rest of my dinner. I'm going to hang out with my kid for a minute. And then I'm going to crash before it starts storming. So, all right. Let me turn YouTube off over here.